Alright, third consecutive quick shelf. I don't want you guys to think I am getting lazy by only doing this, because no. The big projects you are mostly here for are in the works, but I need time and I need to occasionally rest because this work can take a toll on me. But anyway, the quick shelves are a good way to keep activity on the channel. And so, as I was saying, today I wanted to try something a bit different because I have a quick shelf on game trailers and on a movie, but now I want to try a game itself. And today is a very special one that shook me to the core. Judgement. I don't even know where to start. In case you guys are not aware, Judgement is basically a branching of the Yakuza series, a spin-off, you could say. But instead of focusing on the criminal life, you get a view of the justice system, and you are basically a detective, so things play differently. And that's honestly very interesting, because if I have to start with something, is that I was interested in Judgement the first time I saw it, because they tell you this is completely independent from the Yakuza games. And for the most part it is, because you have things like the Tojo clan, Kamurocho and Onomichi. I like Onomichi. But for everything else, the story is completely different. You have new characters, and I respect that, because it's not easy to... you could say Judgement in a way sort of a soft reboot, and that is risky, because when you have 6-7 games with the same stuff, characters and whatnot, it's honestly risky to restart everything, because what if people don't like the new characters, the new protagonists? What if the new story doesn't appeal to anyone, because people want to see Yakuza, not detectives and judges and all of that. But that did not happen here, and I can honestly tell you, Judgement is easily one of the best Yakuza games in existence. If I had to rank them, I'll say it's a little bit below these ones, and that is a high bar, because if you have seen the channel, if you have been following it for some time, you know these games are something else for me. Like, holy shit. So let's start. The combat. As you know, Yakuza 6 started using a new engine, the Dragon engine, and it was fine. I liked it because it was different but good. But the game still felt a bit clunky at times. I think the developers were not used to all the changes. And the combat was not better than Yakuza 0 or Kiwami 1, which for me are the pinnacles of the series in terms of gameplay, because they offer so many styles, so many ways to approach the combat, and 6 was super straightforward with only one combat style, and it could get repetitive at times, and again, it wasn't very polished. Then comes Kiwami 2, which for me was a massive improvement in the gameplay. But then comes Judgement, and everything was insanely better. I'm gonna exaggerate a bit, but I will say my time with Judgement in gameplay was so good that in comparison it made my time with Kiwami 2 less. And you guys know I love Kiwami 2. Of course, I'm exaggerating with that statement, but Judgement is incredible, because Kiwami 2 was already polishing Yakuza 6. Judgement not only polished it even further, it delivered 2 combat systems, and that was incredible. You have Tiger. The Tiger style was useful for one-on-one combat. It was mostly used for bosses and bigger enemies, but it got the job done. Then you have Crane, which focused on crowd control. If you have 4 or 5 smaller enemies, that was the better way to quickly dispatch of them. And it was so good to try to change between those styles to adapt to your current situation, because the movesets of them was super different, and they also served to change the EX moves, which, well, the hit moves, but now they're called EX moves. And it was incredible because you could unlock a new EX move and it will vary, it will change depend on which style you were using. For example, if you got on top of a car, you simply body slam one guy if you're using Tiger style. But if you use Crane and there's like 3 guys below you while you're on the car, you body slam all 3 of them at the same time. And that was so incredible because it made me change between the styles just to see how different the EX moves will work. And that was incredible. It made me feel more invested. And more than that, the combat, the different styles you have were super polished. Tiger, I'll say my only complaint is that Tiger gets all the love. Crane almost gets no upgrades, or actually I don't think it gets any upgrades if I recall correctly. Because Tiger gets so much shit that at the end of the day is your go-to fighting style, which to be fair, it's a great fighting style. You have like your punching moves, your punching special attacks. There was this one maneuver that I love to abuse, that you basically do a huevos on your opponent, and if you time it right, your hand explodes and you send them flying, and it was so crazy satisfying to use. But there was a problem. Crane didn't get anything like that, and I think that is a shame. I was told that in the sequel, Lost Judgment, it gets much more love and it's better, but this is just Judgment we're talking about right now. I will say, besides that, my only complaint is that I hadn't played a Yakuza 3D beat 'em up since Kiwami 2, so it was a bit harder to get used to the slightly changed physics. Yagami, the protagonist, the new moveset, because he fights way too different to Kiryu, so it was very hard to get used to it, not gonna lie. But in the end, it was so worth it. I was constantly getting excited with the boss battles, how powerful I could make my character, and it was incredible. It was fucking incredible. The combat is easily one of the best in the whole series, and holy shit. If that's just a taste on how excellent Lost Judgment will be, I'm so excited to finally give it a try. So, next in line, the story. The story. As I was saying, everything about it is new. But it's genuinely, I shit you not, it's one of the best stories in the whole Yakuza series, and I am not kidding. They did not have to rely on so many old stuff, and the new one was excellent because it's a detective crime drama, you could say, and all the time, I was always on the edge of my seat, shaking with excitement on what will happen. Ask anyone who watched my streams and how I was reacting, and I was always pogging, you know, I was like, because I wasn't overreacting in front of the camera. I was genuinely getting surprised that much. Actually, another thing, I'm a very expressive person, but I find it hard to cry in front of the camera when I know I'm streaming. Judgment was one of the few games that managed to make me do that because it's such an incredible story, and I shit you not, it's so fucking good. There was a whole week I will go to sleep at like 2 or 3 a.m. because I was hooked. I was at the edge of my seat, just shaking with excitement because the story always had me feeling that rush of adrenaline. I wanted to know what will happen next. I never wanted to turn it off. And by the end of it, it was, how do I say it? You have a mystery to solve, right? And every answer just brought more questions, and I was always so interested in what will happen next. Then you have the new characters, and they were incredible, honestly. Takayuki Yagami, the protagonist. I don't know if this is recency bias, it could be, but I genuinely love this protagonist, and I will say that on many occasions I love him more than Kiryu, and that's a very bold statement, but again, I need more time to digest this. It will be good if I play the sequel, but he was so fucking incredible, and the supporting cast was equally good. For example, you have these guys on the Genda Law Office. All of them were super likable, they all have incredible moments to shine, and they hit you so hard. Then you have my favorite character in the whole series, one of my new favorite characters in the whole series, Kaito. He's your brother, not literally, he's like your Kyodai, you could say. And he is a himbo that is not stupid. He actually contributes so much to the story. He doesn't just bring the muscles, you know? He contributes to solve the case. And I love it when games do that. You know, you have your incredibly tall and muscular guy, but he's not stupid. He actually can think for himself and he isn't just comedy relief. So that's a fresh concept that not many games tend to do. As for the side content, what can I say? It was the pure Yakuza fashion. The side stories were super fun. They could be... They could always catch me with my guard down, and that's impressive considering how many Yakuza games I played. There was this one time when I was just walking naturally, then I go over a ledge, and there's this one fucking muscular naked guy, and that shook me. But that was so good. It was an incredible side story. There were also, for example, there was a girlfriend mechanic, and maybe I spent a bit too much time on that, but it was super fun. Drone racing, honestly, it was a lot of adrenaline on that thing. Oh my god, the side content was so fucking good. The game in general. And really, I think I said everything I wanted to say. Judgment is simply incredible, but if I have to say just one thing I absolutely fucking hated, the trailing missions. You're a detective after all, so there are times where you must follow certain people, and those sections were boring, incredibly dull, they overstayed their welcome, there were way too many of them, and they sucked. They fucking sucked. They drag on for way too long. I remember there were times where I was talking with people on the stream, and it was like, oh, I hope I don't have to follow this NPC. Trailing mission. No! Because I hated them so much. And it wouldn't be so bad if there were only like 2 or 3, but no! There's way too many of them. And in my eyes, they make the game worse because there's so many of them. But, so I hope the sequel, Lost Judgment, removes them. I really hope that is the case. But moving that aside, Judgment is an incredible game. It's so, again, it's genuinely one of the best Yakuza games in existence, and I seriously cannot believe it took me this long to get into it. So if you're in my shoes, I implore you, play it. Play the fucking game. Don't be discouraged because it doesn't have Kiryu and all these other characters, because it's such an incredible story with wonderful characters, and you're gonna love it. The combat is simply phenomenal. Everything about it is incredible. But I still think this game hit me on a whole other level, because I was thinking, why did I love this game as much as I did? And I was thinking. And I believe it's because it made me relive that magic I felt when I first played Yakuza 3. For context, Yakuza 3 was my first game in the series, the first one I played. So, well, you could say it is the worst gameplay-wise. It still left a strong impression on me because I had never played anything like that before. And everything was so different. I loved it so much. And, okay, I'm not saying that the other games didn't rekindle that magic, because, for example, there's Yakuza 0, Yakuza Like a Dragon, but again, fucking Judgment made me feel that same thing. Everything was so new to me, from the characters, the story, and the improved combat that felt so different. I loved it. I loved it so much. And if this is just a taste of what I can expect from Lost Judgment, I think I might find something better than Yakuza 0. And that's a high bar to surpass. Yakuza 0 for me is almost untouchable. This game for me is a league of its own. So if Lost Judgment manages to improve so much on this, I just know I'll be saying this is one of my favorite video games of all time. Like, holy shit, I genuinely cannot believe. I cannot believe it. So yeah, I better not drag this any longer. Once again, if you still haven't played it, play Judgment. Play fucking Judgment. You know, you can always reach me on Discord if you don't know where to start in Yakuza. There's even a video from me about that, even though I talk very slow back then, but I think it's a useful guide. And you know, I'll be here right back to talk about Lost Judgment. I don't know if it will be a quick shelf, a full review, Or maybe I'll rank all the mainline Yakuza games. But we gotta see about that. Anyway, thank you so much for your continued support. You know, the big, huge projects are in their way, and I hope you look forward to them. Thank you very much, and take care, everyone. Goodbye!